Welcome to another episode of Ruff Talk VR, a weekly podcast with in-depth game reviews, exclusive developer interviews, and the latest MetaQuest and virtual reality news. We join our hosts, the father-son team of D. Scruffles and Stratus today, as they spend another episode breaking down and discussing the world of virtual reality.
Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR. We're coming at you with another, what I anticipate to be great interview, just because it's a great studio behind it.
Well, if it's based after the name of the game, then we're not going to hear a word.
That's a good point. But today we're joined with James Hunt. He's the game director behind Mannequin, the latest in-house game behind Fast Travel, or from Fast Travel Games. I put that disclaimer there because, you know, the Fast Travel publishing wing is so strong as well, too.
Yeah, we used to joke they'll get it to the store, but that no longer is the mood point, I guess.
Yeah, I guess with no more App Lab, the joke isn't...
They were to go to in my head for, like, if you really wanted to get your game to the store, and if they believed in it, and you were lucky enough to work with them, chances are is you'd be in that official store.
You look at, like, We Are One, Guardians Frontline, so many great games they've taken and actually gone and then published, but they do a great job with their in-house games as well, like Vampire the Masquerade, and their latest one, Mannequin, is kind of a hit, in my opinion, for multiplayer experiences. Everyone I've heard that's gone into it loves it more and more every session they do of it. And you had a great time with it way back in early access. It's currently got a 4.8. But before I get too carried away, I always like to start things with James. Do you mind to tell our listeners, who you are and, maybe exactly what Mannequin is?
Sure. Yeah, so hi guys. My name is James Hunt. I'm the game director on Mannequin. And nice to be on your podcast. I've been with Fast Travel Games for 8 years now, so pretty long. But it's been a lot of fun. And what exactly did you want to know? Sorry.
Just, I guess, who you are and what you do over at Fast Travel.
Cool, yeah. So I've been a game director at Fast Travel ever since we made the game Curious Tales. So that's like 5 years ago, something like that. So that was my first game as a game director. And I've been fortunate enough to been the one behind the game ideas of both Curious Tale and Mannequin. So that's very fortunate to have that chance to make my own game idea, but together with an amazing team, obviously. But prior to that, I worked as an animator, and I was hired as an animator at Fast Travel Games. So I worked as an animator for 20 years. But then got the opportunity to try out game director, and that's what I've been doing now for the last 5 years. It's been great.
Yet another animator I see making the moves in the VR space. It's like the connect, just like mobile game developers. We've seen the amount that have transitioned over to VR. It's starting to crack me up now internally. The amount of animators who you see in the forefront.
It's something that we see quite a bit, actually, more than you think in VR. You think to Lucas Martel from Walkabout Mini Golf. He comes from that animation background, and we even did another interview with somebody earlier today. That's another animator. Seems like an interesting crossover.
20 years as an animator. Do you miss it at all after 20 years?
So yes and no. I mean, I still do really love animation and still do visual concepts, which I think is the reason I actually became a game director. So I would often, if I had an idea, I would visually concept it. So it would be very clear what I was looking for. So I think that helped to show the bosses at the studio that I had different ideas that could be turned into something maybe. So, and that's something I still do. So if I have an idea in my head, instead of actually programming it or doing blueprints or anything like that, I always animate it. And that's the quickest way for me to show an idea what I want to achieve in VR.
Well, and you have that talent to see it in your head. And that's where I fail. I can see things in my head, but as far as my artistic skills to get it anywhere, it just doesn't exist. It's like there's this void of creativity. It's all locked in here, and I'd be the last person you want animating anything. I promise you that.
And
so when I did when I did the in-house pitch for Mannequin, which was an idea I had thought about for a while, I actually made a teaser trailer, and that was a very effective way of just showing what the idea of the game was, with this frozen premise and these beings running around among these frozen bodies.
let's get right into Mannequin, because now knowing you're a large portion of that creativity that I'm assuming conceptually came up with this idea. You're bringing something totally unique and new, especially to the VR space. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't recall ever playing a flat screen game similar to this. And I think it might even be impossible to pull off because of the human nature that's involved in actually, being the mannequin side. But how did this all come to be? Like, where did this seed get planted to have a versus game set up like this with its own lore as well?
Yeah. So it actually goes back to as far as back as the Curious Tale of the Stolen Pets that we made. That was a very much of a passion project of mine. It was a game with the stop motion clay look animation, and it was a game that I thought that this is what I would like to play in VR. But after that, I wanted to challenge myself to figure out if I could think of a game that could reach a wider audience. This Curious Tale is very much like a short, wholesome puzzle game that might not appeal to everyone, but I thought that if I could figure out a FPS game that could reach a wider audience, maybe a more mature audience, I wanted to figure out what that could be. And that I personally like the challenge of, I find VR fascinating, which you obviously do as well. And you don't have to add a VR unique mechanic, but I do really like that challenge. So when thinking of a game idea for VR, I think I personally prefer when there's something in there that would not translate as well to flat screen. So the reason for playing this would be to play in VR and nowhere else. So that was like the premise when I was thinking of a game, a new game. And then I was intrigued by multiplayer. I think social in VR is so strong. So I really wanted to do something with that as well. And then one thing led to another, and I came up with this idea that, what if you post in stroke different poses in VR? And when we did the first prototypes, it was actually about standing still, which was horrible. It was really tiresome. It didn't work. It wasn't fun. But as soon as we nailed the fact that you could press a button and you could drop your arms, you could breathe, you could look around, think about your next move, that was like when we struck gold and like, okay, here we've got something that we can build upon. So that was that ability, or the first prototype we ever made was two teams. One team could pose and hide. And it was more like one team was playing tag and the other team was playing hide and seek. And that's kind of where the game comes from, like cat and mouse gameplay.
And that's cool to hear that even in a stage where maybe, like you said, it was too tiring or whatever, but the studio still believed in it. It wasn't something that they're like, okay, concept doesn't work, moving on. It's something that clearly the team was like, all right, maybe the execution isn't perfect here, but we have something here. So that's cool to see. Was it hard to get people sold on it, or did that trailer you make kind of just lock it in?
So I think the trailer locked in the interest of making a prototype, and then me and a programmer got a set amount of time to do the prototype. And it was during that time where me and this programmer, Linus, figured out that, okay, standing still was not fun enough. Let's do it another way. So we didn't have a pressure of people testing it all the time and giving us feedback. So we could take a couple of weeks figuring out what was the best way to play it. And then when we were satisfied, we presented it to whoever decided on the fact that we would bring it into Greenlight. So the process is pretty long. Like the fact that I got the opportunity to make a prototype didn't mean that we were actually going to make this game internally. It was just step one out of many steps. But it's been fun.
And sorry. Oh no. I was going to say, how long is that whole process? Like, when did you first bring this?
So we looked at it actually pretty recently. So I think I presented the pitch for Mannequin way back in like end of 2001. And then it was a very small team to do the proof of concept. And then it took a while until we got all the funding around the game sorted. And then actually here in Sweden, we're very fortunate with time time off when you had children. So I was on paternity leave for a full year after doing the first proof of concept. So the game started to go into production. It's our first multiplayer game. It's our first game in Unreal 5. So there was a lot of things we needed to get sorted until we actually started building the game. So once I got back like a year later, there was still very much left to be done.
I loved knowing it was made with Unreal also.
I looked at you.
Well, yeah, I get an excitement that whenever I load into a game and I see the Unreal, and I'm not knocking Unity. It's got its place in the food chain, but Unreal's a little graphically special to me. So my expectation is always I expect to see better graphics, and it didn't disappoint with this. Not at all.
And we moved over to we used to use Unity, so our first two games, Apex Construct and Curious Tale, was Unity. And then when we did Afterlife, that was our first Unreal game. So Afterlife and Vampire Justice were both Unreal 4, and then Mannequin is the first Unreal 5 game for us internally.
Which is just awesome.
Yeah. And we haven't looked back. We're as a studio, we're very happy with the choice of using Unreal now.
As a consumer, I'm very happy with the choices the studio made to start using, Unreal. I'm also glad as a player who actually enjoys Mannequin that you did make a decision to not make you physically hold that pose until such time you want to move, and that you can move your arms without having to. Because I'll try to do. We were just talking not too long ago. I'll try to do and I learned the hard way, but try not to look as human per se. Try to look more like the surrounding mannequins around you, because you can easily stand out, especially if you lock into a pose because you waited too long to actually do that because people were coming. But I love the concept that you've brought for a player versus player.
Mm-hmm. And for the from the game director himself, and don't feel like you have any limitation on time or words to describe it, but how would you describe Mannequin to somebody that's never played it or never seen it?
Yeah, so it does take inspiration from a couple of genres that already exist, and in flat screen as well, for that sense. So we have like the social deduction games like Among Us, for instance. The social aspect of that is very much in Mannequin, but I think the game genre that's probably most similar to Mannequin is prop hunt games. I don't know if you ever played a prop hunt game. There are a few in flat screen, and the main premise of a prop hunt game is that one team are props and the other team are hunters. And as a prop, you try to hide. So you are actually a stool or a table or a lamp or something like that. The thing I don't personally like about those games is very passive as a prop. You basically just want to hide until the timer runs out. And if you get caught, then you run away. Whereas in Mannequin, I really wanted it to be both teams trying to take each other out, but using different abilities. So you have the short range melee of the mannequins and the long range of the agents. And then also, after prototyping it, we found out that like the asymmetric aspect of the game was pretty fun as well. So we took a lot of inspiration from Dead by Daylight that has that aspect to it, and also has their objectives that you need to take out to gain increase in strength and like that. So to your question, how would you describe Mannequin? I think Hide-And-Seek FPS is probably it's not intended to be a horror game, but there definitely is some scares in it and thrills. But I think you can play it without being too scared, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if I call it fear as much as maybe a little anxiety or stress. Definite stress. You can, I mean, I play to win. So it's like, even when I play tested it way long time ago, I was in it to win it. It's like, I want to know how to, and I found it like very easy to learn. And then I took for granted the strategy aspect. So I was like, all right, I got the basics down, totally understand it. And then it was okay, you can run some really good strategies with people, depending on who you play with. And
that's what you always say. It's like who you play with in this game is so important.
It can make it or break it. If you really want to go in there and just
and to this day, there's no obvious strategy, which I find is really fun. You could play it in so many different ways, and we're doing the offices as well, and that's fun. And I've always the game can be intense, and I want your heart pounding, but at the same time, there's so much laughter in this game as well. The funny poses, the jump scares, the surprises, and that. So it's a mix of a lot.
I can only imagine how fun it is to play in office, especially in the whole game development.
Yeah,
everybody
Everyone
in studio there,
freezing.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
So much potential with this, and you've been at Fast Travel. You said 8 years. I think at this point, it's fair to say. 2016, you're an OG in the industry.
Yeah,
but 2016, you're making a leap of faith. It sounds to get involved in the VR industry. Even now in 2024, it has to be something you're really passionate about, and you're doing it because you love VR. I can only imagine that's tenfold in 2016. So how'd you discover VR and Fast Travel? How'd you get involved in the industry? And, more importantly, first off, how'd you even discover VR?
Yeah, so at my previous job, I was working for Rovio, the ones behind Angry Birds, if you've ever heard of that game. So I was an animator there, working on Angry Birds 2. And someone bought an HTC Vive to the office. So tried out all the games you did by then, the Valve demos and the Blue, the Whale game as well. And I really liked it. I didn't think about it too much. It was quite expensive, and you need to have a hefty PC and stuff like that. So it was nothing I considered to buy myself, but I did enjoy it. And my boss at the time, Oscar Baumann, is also my boss today. So he left Rovio and didn't say what he was going to do. But and I was still at Rovio, and I was considering doing something else. And then we met up, and I said, I'm thinking about leaving. And he said, before you start looking for other jobs, here's what I'm doing. I'm starting this VR studio with 2 other guys, Eric and Christopher, and we're looking for people. So if you're interested, I think you should apply. So I applied as the first employee there, and I joined as an animator, but I was only there 6 months because then I went off paternity leave. So they were investing in me for the future, so they knew that he'll be back. So, but to your question about VR, I find the medium super, super fascinating. I really like playing it, and I even more like working in it. So it's really, really fun. And I do like the challenge of VR because there's so much things that are not perfected yet. And there's new headsets coming all the time, and new ways of solving locomotion and different ways of playing, and seeing how the social aspect of VR is just blooming. And so it's super, super fun medium to work in.
And now there's Angry Birds in VR through Resolution Games. That must be crazy to see. Like, wow, the game that I worked on flat screen, and the regular is now in VR through a different.
When I was working at Rovio, there was nothing that wasn't Angry Birds by then. You had like fishing lures, you had clothes, you had sodas, everything. So I think a VR version of Angry Birds was like it was pretty obvious that it was going to come at some point in time. But it wasn't me behind that one, at least.
It's just funny to see, it come full circle now.
Full circle, yeah, that's true.
Now that's in VR as well.
Yeah.
So, the concept of Mannequin is so unique, and I love to see that the boundaries of VR are still being pushed, of like coming up with new ideas. And what were some of the challenges of getting a game that like this that really doesn't exist yet? There's nothing to pull inspiration. You can pull inspiration from, like you said, the prop hunt games, but it's never been executed like this in VR, to my knowledge. So I guess, what are some of the challenges in developing a game like that?
I think that even though you have like a core, the core idea or the core mechanic that is good, that in itself doesn't make a game. So there was a challenge in like building a game upon this, and also getting the team to trust in you that this was a good idea, because the process of making a game it's pretty long, and there's a lot of things that need to be in place before you can get everything there. So there had to be some trust in that. Okay, it's not fun today. It might not be fun tomorrow, but the day after that, it might be fun. So I would say that it did take. It wasn't until maybe a year into production we finally nailed all the parts of it that actually made it a really, really fun game, and where the team was really convinced that, okay, finally we're there. Now we can actually build the game. So it took a good while. I had trust I believed in myself and I believed in the idea. So I was pretty convinced that this won't be a problem, but it doesn't help everyone else. I mean, we're quite a few working on the game, and they obviously want to trust and believe that the game is good as well. So but we got there, and from there on, it was pretty nice trip to the final product.
And you all did a great job of, you mentioned some play session way early in the, before, and I remember there being some beta periods. I mean, an alpha beta, then an open beta.
I forget that. I always forget it's not already out,
or that it just came out.
Yeah,
you mean?
it just came out. I just always assumed it was always out.
That's how I feel as well. Like we've celebrated obviously in the office and had a cheers with some sparkling wine and stuff like that. But to me, it also felt that the game is already out. What's different? What's different now? But yeah, we did. That was something that was super important for me, that we get it out early to test it, not just the game idea, but also the servers and everything behind it, just to make sure that once the game actually does launch, that it's stable. So we did some closed testing first, and then we had an open APK, side quest, app lab, early access on Steam, and then finally now the official release on the store, and then obviously patches in between and Gamescom and all that. So it's been heavily tested. So that feels really good now that we launched. We're not worried that the servers are going to go down or there's going to be any huge problems. So that feels good.
I feel spoiled because I feel like I've been going for the ride. The only drawback is the masses haven't been able to get their paws on it yet. So
yeah,
but I do feel happy that I've been able to see it ride through. Just feel bad that sometimes I'll be like, oh, well, it's already out. And it's like, no, it's really not yet.
Well, luckily it is out now.
Now it's in the wild.
Mm-hmm. It's doing great with ratings, 4.8, 235 ratings on the MetaQuest store. I'm sorry, I said 4.8, 235 ratings. 4.8 is a great rating to have.
To come out of the gate with it, absolutely. Even if there was carryover. And that, I'm always weird with being able to rate something pre-release, because it's a work in progress until, the green button is hit. But it's a 4.8 is strong.
Well, kind of on that, it being a work in progress, how much changes, did the game go through in each one of these stages of, the open APK, then the closed beta, then the side quest, was there significant gameplay changes in each phase, or was it mostly just a technical tuning up?
I would say we did add some features and some abilities and functions and performance and technical aspects and stuff like that. But I think the core concept has been more or less the same all the time. We're just trying to add on it. So I feel that we have a really good foundation, but there's so much more we can add to it to increase the fun. More game modes, more abilities. So I'd say more that type of stuff than actually changing the game. We've done balance tweaks and made sure that we have telemetry so we can see how the teams compare to each other. We obviously talk to our Discord members and ask what they think. It's pretty fun how a lot of players are so convinced that one team is stronger than the other, and then you speak to another group of people and they're so convinced that the other teams, and you obviously want to adapt to both of them. You want to give them at least the perceived feeling of that both teams are equal, and that's I'm sure every single multiplayer struggles with this. To balance a game is a lot harder work, but it's fun.
Well, what's crazy with this one though is, and I'll say it's balanced. Each team has their advantage, and each team you could argue has a disadvantage, but they're totally opposite each other. You're not going in with like that. And that one, that could be what throws like feeling like you're disadvantaged because you don't have what the other team has, and vice versa. But then once you really get into the nuts and bolts of playing it, you realize like, okay, this is the ability to freeze and blend in. That's where I love this game the most. Mm-hmm. I prefer to be the mannequin versus, hunting the mannequin.
And that's another challenge we have, that we want to make sure that half and half want to play both teams as well, because otherwise we've got another problem that everyone only wants to play the mannequins, or everyone only wants to play the agents. So, but so far so good actually. It's been pretty good.
Fun stuff. It's a unique concept of a game, and it's very well executed.
Yeah, graphics are run. I mean, dude, when I played it a while ago, there was no issues at all. Mm-hmm. And again, in my head, this is a finished product.
And when you say that there's so much more that could come to game, it sounds like that as game director, that you have a large vision of possibilities to take this game. Are you able to talk about some things that not set in stone that will come, but just selfishly as the creator of the game that you would like to see in the game in the future?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I to be honest, I want to be really transparent with what we're working on. The only thing I don't want to do is promise anything, like at least not the things that we've committed to doing. But coming now within 2 weeks, we're going to release a patch, and what I can confidently say is that with that patch, you're going to have a new level, a cave-themed level. That's super awesome. There's a game mode for the social lobby that's going to be called King of the Crown. So you can socialize, talk with your mates, figure out if you want to play any other game modes, but at the same play this really easy go game in the social lobby where you can just fool around, and whoever wears the crown the longest wins. It's pretty fun. We have a new ability for the agents, which is your shield. So that's pretty fun to play with. So that will be one of the first new additional abilities that will come going forward. And then now you can use finger gestures. So you can do pointing and you can do other fun things. So I reckon players will do pretty fun and naughty posing with those. You can point eyes out, or do heart emojis, or whatever you want to do. So that's something we've wanted to add in the game. And then a lot of polish, added audio, haptics for launch. Now we did a Quest 3 update, so it's more similar to the PC version than the Quest 2 version, so it looks really good as well. So yeah, constantly adding and improving. So this is just coming in 2 weeks, and then we have ideas going forward. We're looking into mod support. We're looking into more abilities. We have a really fun ability for the mannequins that we call Possess, which means that as a mannequin you could change the pose of every single first responder in the game if you wanted to. So you would steal their body, leave a body somewhere, steal another body, leave a body somewhere, and just make your whole own layout of these first responders in the game. So those things are not in the game right now, but those are some of the things we're looking on, and there's going to come more levels and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm excited for the more levels, which I just naturally assumed organically would be the way it would go. It would here's the release version. Yeah. Here's what you're getting. And then, looking forward 2 years down the road, it's probably going to be a couple of fistfuls of levels. I didn't even think mods. I love the idea of being able to set everything yourself too, because there's, again, I'm competitive, so I just look at everything as an advantage.
Are you able to give some examples of maybe some mods that we might see for a game like Mannequin?
I think what we're looking into first now is being able to just mod the look of your character. So if you, what we're looking in is to mod through mod.io, so players could upload their own meshes and textures, and then you could be Homer Simpson or whoever you want to be in the game. If you've added, if you have a mod.io account, you could download those. So there's several VR games that have had really good success with mods, and I think it could be a good fit for Mannequin. So we want to give it a try if we can. So we're looking into that now.
I had no idea some of the direction that it would actually end up going. Yeah. To be honest with you, I didn't even think additional abilities for both sides. Didn't even cross my brain. Mm-hmm. I just looked at it as this is a very unique first of its kind for me. So
Well, and I like how much you. I mean, obviously, it's a social game, and you're leaning into that even more when you watch gameplay videos of people playing Mannequin. The one consistency is laughter. You know, people if they're playing with their friends, people have a great time. It's funny, like you said, the jump scares, the silliness of freezing, and the poses. So having
almost getting caught, dude. Though. Yeah.
Having some avatar, some silly modded in avatar that you're not expecting to see, you just load into a game and that's there. Come on, that only adds to the humor of it. You're probably going to interact with the person a little bit if there's any way to, after the game. It's I love the direction.
And just to be clear, how these mod works is that only players who have chosen themselves to download the mods will see them. So it's not going to affect everyone. It's just for those. But we're also looking into skin rewards tied to progression and stuff like that. So you would actually gain new skins going forward. So I think there's tons of potential for the game, and I think we have a really good foundation. So I just want to hear what the community wants, and also what I think it would be nice to, like, the people who have played Mannequin now seem to really like it. Like you said, we've got 4.8, and that's a really nice score. But I would really like to try and widen the audience to see those people who do like first-person shooters and haven't picked up Mannequin. Why haven't you picked up Mannequin, and what could we do for you that would attract you to our game?
I mean, I'll say as a consumer, it's going to be getting them to just try it.
Yeah,
is the truth, because it's like, if you like that style of gaming, right? First person shooters, 3v3s, 5v5s, 2v2s, whatever. I mean, the first time you play as the Mannequin and realize, like, I've never done this before.
No.
Never in my life. It's just, so it's like, to me, it's the draw. That's the biggest draw.
And I can't go into specific numbers, but we do have a free trial with Mannequins. You can play for 30 minutes for free. And what we see is a very high percentage of people who try Mannequin buy Mannequin. So that's very nice to see. Like you said, if you give it a go, you will most likely like it. But we still have a way to go to actually get those people to try it as well, which is a challenge I find exciting. So I really want to see how we can widen the audience and welcome more people into our lovely world.
And I also do think we're seeing a different era of the store in some way, with the merging of App Lab into the official store, and 10,000 Gorilla Clone games every day and getting emails about them, and it's a little bit of a different playing field these days as well too, in terms of like store exposure and stuff like that. I feel like word of mouth and such, and recommendation is even more important than before.
But look we get the studio whose hands this is in.
Fast travel.
Yeah.
It's like, I think they're in safe hands.
There's a handful of names, and if you put them in this hand and you say, my game is with
Fast travel, like Beyond Framed, Resolution, so many.
They know what they're doing, and look, an actual OG from the industry that's been there, the first hired employee. It's like, I love that you came from like just the first employee animator, happy guy, to pitching ideas for games that have never been done before, and people actually were receptive, and it started the ball rolling. I mean, to me, it's a fun game.
And what's that feeling like to have a game go from your idea, just a something in your brain,
an animated pitch
to an animated pitch, to now something that's officially out?
Yeah, I'm so thankful for Fast Travel Games to give me that opportunity. I don't take it for granted. I really don't. And everyone at Fast Travel Game has the opportunity to pitch ideas if they want to. So it's definitely the best game pitch that wins. When I pitched Mannequin, there was another game that we were about to start production that was also really, really strong, but the leads of Fast Travel Games decided to bet on Mannequin instead. So I'm very thankful for that. So it's kind of unbelievable actually, but it's really fun. And also, to be honest, like, Mannequin would not exist without the amazing team. I didn't build this game myself. I had the idea, but then it's the team together with me that built the game. So it's very much a team effort.
Oh, and also building a community as well, because the Discord you all have is it's good. Every day I see that there's an official Discord message coming from whoever's running the community.
Your community manager does a great job, Jesper.
Absolutely.
He crushes it. Community manager is
really good.
Exact title role. That's his exact role title, right? I'm not misspeaking there.
No, he's definitely in charge of our community. I don't know his exact title.
Yeah, I don't want to misspeak on him because he's such a good guy.
Gonna hear
what the hell? So much more than the community manager. Great guy, though. Great guy.
I could easily find it. Yeah, and we have also amazing moderators on our Discord as well that really do a lot of work and help out players and play games all the time. We have some players that are really good, a lot better than us in the team as well. So all props to them, and also quite a few that put in plenty of hours into the game. So that's really encouraging to see.
And speaking on the team, how big was the team that worked on this game?
Yeah, so it's shifted from just like me and this programmer do the pitch and the proof of concept in the beginning up until I would guess we were like 20, 25 at the most. And now I would guess we're about somewhere between 10 and 15 maybe. So it's ramped up and down. We have other games going on as well that you might have tried Action Hero, for instance, another game that we're working on. And more to come, but it's been up and down, everything from 2 to 25 at the most, I would say.
And are you involved in Action Hero as well? Because we tried that at Gamescom and freaking loved it.
I'm
you
hooked.
Have home run on that one.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Yeah, so Christopher Smith, who's the game director on the game, we're really good friends, and we help each other out all the time. I don't actively work on the game, but I definitely feedback on the game whenever I can. So I really think they're doing a great job there.
Mannequin and Action Hero, two great games to add to the in-house.
They couldn't be more opposite of each other. And
right?
That's one of my favorite things with studios is when they just don't latch on to one direction. It's like it doesn't. You can't predict what might come next from them. But Action Hero is no joke. I'm fiending for that one. Not to divert from Mannequin, which is the current.
No worries.
The current, but it's coming. It's coming from the same studio. So
I think it just speaks to the quality that comes out of Fast Travel. In their in-house wing. Of course, their publishing wing is incredible as well too. But again, the in-house titles from Fast Travel have yet to be disappointed.
Well, and I love that anybody who works there can pitch it. That's a pretty good open door with getting some good creativity and good ideas, and who knows what's coming down the road.
Yeah.
And I have a little foot into the publishing part as well. I'm not in charge of that in any way, but I'm part of a publishing scout group. So we look through concepts that come in every week and give them a try. And I think that's also really good for me as a game director to get inspirations from other games, not to steal in any way, but just to get a feel of what games are out there and what's good, what's bad, and have your different reasons for it and stuff like that. So I really like being part of that as well.
Oh yeah, publishing sounds like a really fun side of the game industry for sure.
They just published Into the Radius on PSVR too. That's a huge one to get under the publishing wing. And in terms of that diversity of game titles, that extends to
that's my favorite.
Their publishing thing, their publishing wing as well too. There's really no two Fast Travel games, both in-house and published, that are really
the same.
No, they're all very unique concepts.
Not scared to go any direction they want either, which is awesome. Whether it's something familiar or unfamiliar.
So something you mentioned earlier that I love to hear this is that there's not been a kind of meta. That's just a weird term to use these days with the name of meta these days, but it's like a go-to strategy to use of like the best strategy in Mannequin. But for yourself, do you have any tips for new players hopping in of some kind of safe strategies to take to I guess stay alive?
Yeah, so I think as a mannequin, don't pose towards the actual agent coming. I think it's a more strategic way to pose another direction, and then when you're posed, you can obviously swivel around physically and just face whatever direction you want to dash or aim towards. So that's one of them. As an agent, I would say stay cool. I think just keep an eye if the generators are being drained or not. If not, then you have the time on your side. I think it's definitely worth getting the advantage. Both teams can get an advantage, and in the agent's case, it's about waiting out these 3 minutes until the scan of the whole level is done, and you actually see that every single position of the mannequins in the level. So if you notice that mannequins are not draining any generators, well, just stand in a corner and chat and wait for your turn to have the advantage. There's a ton of them. We're really trying to outsmart each other every day at the office. We play every day in the team, and it's usually a fight whoever gets the spot on the server for that game session. But it's super, super fun, and it's never obvious who's going to win. We obviously have a few players that are very good at the game, but there's always a chance for everyone. I really like that.
I love the advice of don't. I almost wish you didn't say it, but since you put it in the wild, don't look and freeze in the direction that the other side's coming from, because you're the only one. And when the second they walk in the room, and I've seen it go down like that, you just walk in and be like, you're dead. I mean, it was that easy, and it's because it's obvious this one mannequin is totally different than the rest that are in there. So that's really good advice.
And it's honestly a hilarious game to watch be played.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's got entertainment from a streaming standpoint,
especially if you hear what people are saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you seen any maneuvers or strategies that have completely, like, you were not expecting people to do such a thing?
I think we've played it so much now, and I've also played very much with the community as well, so it's hard to distinguish who's done what. But you definitely see different strategies. As an agent, you have this ability to use, we call it the ghost detector, and you can shoot it out, and it's like if a mannequin steps inside it, it gives you a little ring to tell you that they've been detected. So you can either use it to throw it out of one of the generators to just tell if the mannequins walk there, or you could save it. And when you start getting a read, you throw it out to see if they're actually in front of you. So there's different ways of using that. You can tag team, you can split up, you can talk strategies as both teams. So I don't think, apart from funny ways of using our exploits, which we've tried to stop them from using, but it's been good. It's been really good to have those exploits so we know where we need work done. Up until recently, it was those who knew could tell who was a mannequin, which we obviously don't want. So we've sorted that out. It's just small details, but like I think all the first responders in the game had a little shadow underneath, but the mannequins, when they posed, they didn't. So if you knew that, you could tell directly, okay, that's a mannequin. So we got rid of that. There was like a list of 5 of those things that our pro players in the community just, okay, we can't play it at the moment because these things are broken for us. But we haven't told anyone else. It's been like, like a magician doesn't tell his tricks. So they've been very kind to not tell anyone, but they themselves said that at the moment it's unplayable for us. But we've fixed those now, so that's all good.
I love that there'd be some self-honesty too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to exploit the game. I just want to play like everyone else, but I noticed this and give you the opportunity to take care of it before it gets blasted into the wild and then becomes an ugly scene. It just shows you the level that people play.
Yeah. And a few of them have started a separate Discord called Nothing Better to Do. And the only thing they do is find exploits and faults with our game, which I love. It's so good. It's just dedication. So we get reports from them every week what things needs to be fixing.
That's awesome. What's going to happen when weeks go by and there's nothing coming? You almost have to.
I'm sure they always will. I'm sure they'll find more stuff. They're actively searching for them, so I'm sure there'll be more.
That just means it's a passionate group of players, like people that love the freaking game.
It's a good community. I don't see toxicity.
It is a good community.
Mm-hmm.
No, and that's what we've heard as well. Yeah, it's obviously you're going to get some players saying bad stuff, and you can report players in our game. But in general, we've what we've heard from the community is that there's a really good group of people playing it, and there's not too much of the bad stuff.
Nope, I haven't had any displeasures.
Mm-hmm. And I mentioned, like, the potential. It's so fun to watch be played. Has there been talks of like official leagues or esports things or tournaments or those type of things? I'm sure it's stuff that you've done in house with the community. I'm sure on the Discord already, but
we actually had a tournament today. It was called the Release Rumble, and there were eight teams competing against each other. And there was live commentating as well. We haven't built too much stuff in the game, so you can't actively spectate in the game stuff, and there's no official VR league or anything like that. But I think we'll see how things go. I would definitely want to add stuff towards that if that's what players want, and I'm really glad for players wanting to play these tournaments and compete against each other. So it's about there's this huge Father Christmas bag of stuff to pick from, and it's just a matter of picking which at which time, where to go first. So there's not a lack of good ideas, both in house and from the community. So it'll be good.
I think there was a Discord message today about the tournament as well.
Mm-hmm. So
either today or yesterday.
I mean, dude, it's built for this type of gameplay. Like I said, not many games have that entertaining to watch.
It's just weird
factor.
Because most versus games like this, you both technically are pretty much the same, just different weaponry, where this is like
totally different game,
different weaponry and gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Two different teams. It's that's why I love it, man. It's unique. It's not rinse, wash, repeat. It's not, a Breacher's clone. It's not a CS clone. It's its own thing.
Has the community, the pro players, have they surpassed the developers in skill level?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And it's also those who, it's funny because the vast majority tell us that mannequins are overpowered. But the pro players, they say the opposite. They say, no, it's the agents who are overpowered. And if we look at the statistics that we have built into the game, it's pretty even. So that's what I mentioned previously. It's we want, so now we're going to add an ability for the agents, which is a shield, which gives you protection during a certain amount of time. And I think that won't affect negatively, but hopefully give the perception of that you're safe for a certain amount of time. So my hope is that those players who feel that mannequins are too powerful now feel a bit more safer as agents, but those who are pro are not that much affected by it, if that makes sense.
Nope, makes total sense. And you mentioned the goal is to not make one more fun than the other. Like, you want players to enjoy playing as both of those, but inevitably people pick favorites of anything, right?
That's fine.
I like doing the poses, man.
Chocolate versus vanilla. Maybe you like both, but maybe you really like chocolate.
No.
For yourself, which do you have one that you like to play as more? Or is it tough because it's your creation?
No. So what I meant by we just want equal is not that I don't want anyone to prefer one. I just want as many to prefer either or. So personally, I really like playing as Mannequin, and our game, our main game mode is 3 mannequins versus 2 agents. So there could be less people who prefer agents and still have the balance. But I do enjoy playing both. And when you play Mannequin as a quick match, you don't get to choose at the moment either. So you, it's just randomly rotated in whoever you become.
That makes sense.
I want to say when we play tested, I don't remember all the people, but we ended, I think, with a 3v1.
Oh, because somebody left out, I think, right?
3 mannequins for if that was even
there is. And if you play custom, you can play whatever.
All right, so that was the last one we did, and we almost died as the mannequins. We got smoked. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, we've had a few cocky players who said, "Okay, you guys go 4 mannequins. I'll be the single agent. I'll take you out." So, and that's all good fun. So you can play. And now we have a second game mode in custom games you can play. It's called Infection, which is really fun. So you start off 1 agent and 4 mannequins, and if the agent shoots a mannequin, they become an agent as well, and now they're on the same team hunting down the rest of the mannequins. So it's fun how you could be a mannequin and you're on your own team. And as soon as you shot, you're like, okay, I'm going to take them out as well. I want them all killed now because I got killed. So it's actually really fun. So it's, Infection game mode.
That's great incentive for don't stand near me when I pose.
Yeah.
Like, because if I get turned, I'm gonna know right where your ass is standing. That's a game changer. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it switches voice channels as well, unless you use global voice, because then you're obviously all on the same. But as soon as you're with the agent team, and now you're hunting down the mannequins. So it's really fun. And we're going to bring in a deathmatch game mode soon as well.
Whoa!
So
that'll be cool.
More to come. Yeah.
And deathmatch, you get to pick which class you are, or is it like, agent?
Yeah, what we're talking about now, and again, this is one of those things which I could tell you that we want to bring in, but I can't say when or where. But the idea is that you pick whatever team you want, and it's all for all. So you can shoot another agent, you can shoot another mannequin. You just choose which team you want to be, and if you die, you respawn. So it'd be more traditional, but you choose whatever class you want.
All right, are you still able to do poses as the mannequin?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. No, still keep the abilities, and we'll still keep the generators. So if you want to try and drain one of them and increase in powers, you can do that as well. So we'll keep all the abilities, and the future abilities we add on should work with all these previous game modes as well. So yeah, it's should be fun.
New game modes takes this game a whole different possibility for direction as well.
They already have the base pretty much locked in, so now it's just, what do they want to do?
Wow, incredible work.
If the game, whatever game modes become popular, we'll loop them in quick play as well, so they will gain you XP towards the future rewards. Right now, you only gain a rank and a new badge, but in the future, it would be tied to skins and stuff like that.
Oh, you guys are crushing it.
You had me before all that, so obviously I'll still continue to play. Why not?
Cheers.
No, that's great work, both in the actual, what came out, but I love to hear all of the stuff that, again, anything you're talking, it's not set in stone. It's no set date on it or anything like that. It's just, the ideas of it. But I love that there's all of this potential for things to come in the future. It's not just,
I love that we just heard this came from a brain right to an animated presentation to a pitch to a year off and congratulations on that. And
I would love to show the teaser trailer at one point that I made, but the thing is, it's made with GTA 3 characters. I don't think it's like, is it just a kit bash of everything? So I'm not even sure it would be legal to show it, but it worked. It worked very well for an in-house presentation.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, you just need to get the proof of concept across. That's all, right? So that's funny to use GTA characters. That's actually a great little Easter egg fun fact of Mannequin.
And in regards to like the roadmap going forward, to me it was really important that we had like a strong foundation to land on. I'm not a lover myself of games that release a poor game and then try to keep players on by just showing a roadmap what's to come. It was important to me that it felt strong to start with, and then we're building upon that. So I really hope we delivered on that.
I'll say you did, especially with the amount of time that people were able to play it before official release, we'll say.
I'll say with 4.8, you did it. I'd say that's a very good.
There's a method to the madness that's working very well.
I think like it's just as you said, it's just a thing of getting people to try it.
Yeah,
like
you try it, your brain's going to start clicking real quick.
I've even, like I said, heard it in our Discord where people go, every game I play, I like it more. It's one of those type of games. So there's the infinite potential for strategies to develop too. It's like, come on, this is going to be huge.
I think that might be one of our challenges, that since it is a different type of game, that might not have existed before that. It might not be clear what the game is and how it plays. So that's something that we obviously need to work towards. But I do think that once you try it and give it like a game or two, you understand the concept of it.
Absolutely.
Well, what's really cool is you're going to hear the day come where someone's going to be describing a game and they're going to be like, it's kind of like that game Mannequin, because you've set this new kind of genre of play style.
And it's late in Sweden time.
Yeah, we won't be too rude.
For our listeners, they know we record on weekends, and here we are stealing him, 6 hours. 6 hours ahead of us, way past fika time. That's for sure.
No, I'm always down. I'll even take the coffee to go. I don't care what time it is.
So, James, I can't say enough how appreciative I am for you to take the time and join us today at Mannequins, a great game. Again, I've yet to be disappointed from anything in-house or published by
one of the powerhouses
by Fast Travel. So great work with it. I'm so excited to hear again, the potential for so much more to come to the game as well too. So. Great work. But before we let you go, is there anything else you want to ask James while we got him?
No, I'm grateful for you spending some time with us. I loved going on the journey of how this legit. I mean, that was a great start too. Like where this started from, and then kind of surprised me with some of where it potentially is going, all in a good way, and in areas that I guess I just didn't even think were needed or possible. So.
Admittingly, I haven't tried those other game modes, so I got to hop in there and check those out. That's for sure. And James, before we wrap this up, is there anything you want to say to, I guess, the Mannequin players or the VR listeners out there?
Nothing else than if you haven't tried Mannequin, give it a go. You can trial the free trial. It's on the Quest Store now. And to everyone who's already playing Mannequin, thanks for playing. I'm looking forward to meeting you in the lobby soon.
Love to hear how much.
Sorry, I was just going to say thank you guys for having me, and thanks for the kind words about the game.
Oh, anytime.
Yeah,
anytime.
Look, we never BS or anything, and we only really talk about the games we love. So we're talking about it because we love it. That's the reality.
We also know that depending on the studio, you already know before you even play it whether it's going to be good, and you all's vetting process for whether it's in house or out of house is pretty spot on. So,
and I was going to say, I love to hear how engaged in. How much you play with the community and such like that.
Yeah, that's scary.
Scary and cool to know that you could hop in there and see a developer, but at least
I tried to be anonymous, but my name has been out there now, so some people recognize me. I don't lie about who I am, but if they don't know who I am, I don't tell them. So I try to just be one with the game because I don't want to affect the gameplay in any way. And I'm not amazing at the game. I'm okay at best, but I really enjoy it myself.
That's so cool to put out a game that's your creation and see the community go so crazy with it that you become an okay player.
Yep. Yeah, I went from number 1 to I'm all right.
That's awesome. So thank you again, James. To the listeners, if you haven't yet, go check out Mannequin.
4.8. That 4.8. Many people aren't wrong. So
unique gameplay. If you like shooters, you like this type of multiplayer shooter game.
Hide-And-Seek. There's so many different ways you could pitch it.
Unique concept. Go give it a try, and I almost guarantee you're going to love it. So, James, thank you again to the listeners. Subscribe, rate us 5 stars, check out Mannequin, and we'll check you out next week. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.